Do you want me to share my screen and continue?
Yeah.
In the practical part, it is Quizzkit 102, where I am covering a theoretical part of the quantum gates, and Sadaf will continue the Quizzkit implementation of those gates. From the theoretical part of view, I will cover all the gates available in the quantum computing scenario. But in the implementation part, Sadaf will cover selected gates. Those things will be discussed during the session. Let me start with the necessity for gates. So why do we need gates? Let us start from classical computing, because anything compared to classical computing will be able to we will be able to understand the comparison, like, oh, it is doing something similar to classical computing and quantum computing. Those who are coming from computer science background, they might have studied these words: logical gates, off adder, full adder, register, accumulator. These things will be covered in a subject called computer architecture. I don't know how many of the computer science students are remembering that subject, but there was a famous book called, written by Maurice Mono, a green color cover book, very great book. In that book, he clearly explained how these gates are working. Non-computer science people still wonder how computer is able to add two numbers. When you give two numbers, how it is getting added. I will explain in simple terms with a given diagram. You see here the diagram where arithmetic logic unit, it is being connected to a circuit called accumulator. So the accumulator is the actual computing element. It is nothing but set of 8 full adders arranged in a way which being shown here. You can see my screen. In the middle part, I have added 1, 2, 3, dot, 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 then which is a full adder circuit, which is in the lower portion, pointed like this. So this one, let me highlight with a pen. So this circuit is called a full adder, which will add two inputs along with carry from previous number, that is carry in, Cin. And if we arrange these full adder or 8 full adder sequentially and feed this C out to this Cn and this C out to this Cn, and similarly the last minus 1 Cn to last Cn, we will build a circuit called accumulator. This accumulator will add two numbers, and this is the simplest explanation. A and B, given A and B, it will produce sum and carry. So for any computer science people, it looks very simple. Even for people who are having some digital electronics background, they can understand. For those who think that this is something beyond their understanding, just imagine that there are 8 calculators placed next to next, and entering two numbers in one calculator, output will come, the carry will feed to next calculator, something like that. That is called accumulator. This accumulator will add two numbers and give the output to the memory. This is what a digital computer, classical computer, is performing: calculations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, all those things. Here the important thing is this particular picture. This is called gate. This is XOR gate. This is AND gate. Like this. This XOR gate and AND gate will take only two input, which are either 0 or 1. This is classical computer because this is based on binary number system. Hope I'm clear here in the classical computing scenario. Just to go back, it is a hierarchical, architectural hierarchy. Gates are used to build off adder used to build full adder used to build register, registers used to accumulator is part of the arithmetic logic unit, arithmetic logic unit is a part of the microprocessor memory is the part of the CPU is part of your computer. Is it clear? Right. Let us take pause here. Now compare this with the quantum computing. When it comes to quantum computing, the quantum computers will have more powerful gates than AND or NOT, XOR, NAND or NOR. The reason is that, as I explained in the previous session, quantum computing is operating on Hilbert space using complex numbers. Because of that, a bit or the bit used in the quantum gate, there are different types of gates. I'm trying to list out those gates. There are single qubit gates, 2 qubit gates, and 3 qubit gates. And is there any chat? Should I answer? Not now, right? Okay, cool. Let us cover the single qubit gates. Single qubit gates are usually called unitary gates. They will represent using the word U. Here you will see some strange matrix format. But in case of classical computing, for any gates, you will see truth table. 1, 0, 1, 0, then there will be 0, 0, 1, 1, then there will be a truth table, right? This is what we use for classical computing. A truth table, there will be output. But in case of quantum computing, a truth table with the binary number is not sufficient. The reason is that the quantum gates are residing inside electron, and electron spin energy is used to give the position. So usually the spin energy is somewhere in between that Bloch sphere, and Bloch sphere is explained with the help of alpha 0 ket plus beta 1 ket. Alpha and beta are complex numbers, and they follow the probability unit, meaning alpha square plus beta square is always 1. Considering this, we need a matrix to represent these gates. The truth table or binary values are not sufficient here to represent the gate behavior. That's why all the qubit gates are represented using matrices. Now, I believe why do we need matrices, right? So in a single unitary matrix, it will just make it given theta, psi, and lambda into a unitary operation. Then there is another operation called creating superposition. We can make the spin energy to any of the superposition, coherent superposition. That operation is determined by the U2 gate, which is 1 by square root of 2 multiplied by 1 e power I theta and e power I minus lambda and e power I minus lambda plus theta. And similarly, there is a phase. See, coherent superposition is nothing but your spin energy moved in between North Pole and South Pole, somewhere else. The phase is from the x or y, z. Out of these axes, what is the movement? Which angle it has moved? That is the phase. How it starts from the wave function kind of thing. That phase measurement is given by this u1 lambda angle. Based on that, your spin energy will be moved to certain phase. From there, it will start moving to any of the spin energy. So these things looks like the spin energy within the electron can be moved to different place. Then we will measure that place to get the result. If your operation is very simple, for example, now I want to call out the linear algebra vector addition. You may wonder how you can perform addition using spin energy. Just now I explained you, right? Spin energy is inside a Bloch sphere. It is a vector, complex number vector. And you know that in linear algebra, you can perform A vector plus B vector equal to, it is A plus B plus AI plus BI. Similarly, the same thing can be done by measuring the position of the spin energy inside the electron. It is not the exact scientific explanation, but this is more resembles the actual thing what are happening inside the electron. That's why we are using matrices, right? Now there are many gates with the single qubit gate, single qubit operation, Pauli gates, which will X bit flip Y is a bit and phase flip. Z is a only phase flip. Then there are Clifford gates, Hadamard gate. This is the important gate. The Hadamard gate is the first gate which will represent the superposition operation. Then we have S gate, then T gate, then S conjugate, and then T adjoint. Sorry, S adjoint and T adjoint. Again, these are all represented by appropriate 2 by 2 matrices. Then there are rotation which are revolving around the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. That's the reason why you are seeing cos theta, sin theta, the same, the famous geometrical theta. Okay, and we have 2 qubit operations which are called controlled Pauli gates, which is CCS, CCX, CY, CZ, CX or CH, CRZ, CU1, CU3. I will show you the actual matrices for these operations. Then either you will understand or you will get more confused. Stay with me. I try to explain. Since these are 2 qubits, we need 2 by 2, which is 4 by 4 matrices. That's why we are seeing 4 by 4 matrices, right? So LSB, MSB. LSB is one portion. This portion is LSB, and this portion is MSB. We can't have only these two. That's why this operation is converted into 4 by 4 matrix by filling this 0, 0, 0, 0. But for CX, it is only x-axis rotated. For CY, this I and minus I will represent the rotation operation around y-axis. Then this only -1 will represent the rotation around z-axis. Then Hadamard operation, you remember that Hadamard is 1 by square root 2. That Hadamard is applied in all portions. You can see here, it is not like only in the diagonal. It is there in the 1 by 2 in the all these 4 quadrants. Because in coherent superposition, you know that the spin position it's present both in 0 and 1 in between somewhere else. That's the reason why we have to cover all 4 quadrants. But in CRZ only 2, so this diagonal data are covered. And this is the killer. Even though it is a 4 by 4 matrix, it looks very big because of it is a rotational along with the conditional. That's why. And there is the very useful operation called swap, which will swap the qubits 1 to 0, 0 to 1, or 0 ket to 1 ket, 1 ket to 0 ket. By performing this operation, again, this also we have data in the, or we have the manipulator in the 4 quadrants. Again, this also will operate in the coherent superposition. And you can compare this swap with Hadamard operator. I think I'm making sense here. Other operators are similar. Okay. Now I'm going to end my section with the final 2 gates, which is the first reversible gate introduced by Toffoli, the Italian physicist. It is a controlled gate. Then Fredkin gate, which is controlled swap gate. Using these qubits, we can perform multiple operations within one clock pulse or one execution oracle. In quantum lingo, we are calling this an oracle. Within one oracle, we can perform all these multiple operations, then measure at the end. That is the one reason why quantum computings are very fast. These operations will happen in parallel within one clock cycle. But in classical computing, each operation will make in one clock cycle. Remember, there will be a box kind of clock pulse, movement 1 clock cycle, operation 1 clock cycle, result in 1 clock cycle. But in case of quantum computing, all these operations within one oracle will happen within 1 clock cycle. Make sense? We will have a detailed execution and the mathematical model about these qubits in our subsequent session as a separate session. It is scheduled on the July month. For the time being, I am stopping here and hand over to Sadaf. Any question? I'm open for any question at the end of the session by Sadaf. You can post the questions. We will answer. Thanks, MSB. Sam, thank you. Sadaf, you
All
can
right.
take over.
Thanks, KG. Sadaf, yeah.
Thanks, Sam, for the session and explaining the theoretical part of gates. So before starting, Sam, my voice is clear, right?
Yeah.
So I will start with the implementation of the Qiskit, and I will share my screen just a minute. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm seeing.
Fine. So I will just recap like what we did in the Qiskit 101 session.
Right.
We covered the like how we can install Qiskit, and then we see like how we can run code on simulators, how we can design the circuits given a specific number of qubits.
Shut up. Sorry, you have like 9% battery left.
Thanks for highlighting. I will just. Okay, and then we covered in the last session like how we can run the, how we can execute the quantum circuits on simulators using Qiskit. So we saw like what all kind of simulators are available, like state vector and all. And then we also covered like how we can visualize our quantum states using the Qiskit library, which is using matplotlib at the backend. And then we checked, then we tried executing the quantum circuits on real quantum computers, how to create the backend, from where to get the APIs, all this stuff. So if any one of you are joining the session for the first time, and if you're not aware of anything, you can ping your question in the chat box. Either me or KG will try to answer it, or we can take up at the end of the session. So I will resume from where we left in the last part. So in the last session, we saw like how to do the visualization for the execution of a certain quantum circuit, where we took 2 qubits and we created a entanglement state, and we measured like what is the value stored in each of the qubits. And after executing it on a quantum backend, on a real quantum computer, actually, this was our results, like how many times actual 0 was predicted as 0, actual 0 was predicted as 1, and actual predicted was predicted as 1. So these two are the actual values, the longest bar graph which you can see, the longest bars, which was predicted accurately, but the smaller one which you can see like 0.031 and 0.018, these are the errors. These are not predicted correctly when we tried measuring the qubits from qubit 0 to qubit 1. All right. So to resume today, I will first cover some part of visualization, like so that you know how to create and certain sort of visualizations in using Qiskit, and then further we will move to the implementation of some of the gates which KG has already covered. Okay, so I'm going to store the result of the previous jobs in one of the variable, and here instead of just plotting the histograms for individual results for individual circuits, we can even do we can even plot the results for multiple circuits at one go, and we can do the comparison. So R1 and R2, here I have results of the same graph and have stored there. And for plotting multiple results in one go, what we can do is so obviously to denote both the results separately, we will be using legend. So legend is the naming which we can give for the both the executed circuits. So I'm naming it as like first execution and second execution. And then again we can call the plot histogram function, which is there in the Qiskit package in under data visualization, and we will pass the results in a list. So R1 will be my first result and R2 will be my second result, and here I have to specify the legend as well. So there are several other parameters also which we can pass while doing the visualization, and to customize it for more user appealing and for making it more understandable. So you can see how easily we can compare the result of for both the circuits. Fine. Since here we are using the same circuit, so there's no difference in the results. But in case if you're executing different circuits and making the comparison, you can observe it. And apart from this, if you want to change the colors and all, that is also possible. So we will use the same circuit again, and we can even sort it in a certain order if you want to. If you want to like sort it in ascending or descending order, and even you can specify the size of the figure, like what is the figure size you want to keep while plotting the data, and then even choosing the color platelets. What is the color you want to give? So suppose if I want to choose orange and black, uh, yeah, orange, and then I can give black, and even I can give the labels for the bars as well. So whatever bars you are seeing, if I will give the labels for it, even those will be appearing. So we'll try both way. Like first I will give bar labels true, and then I will give false. So you can see, right, I have the bar labels here. The color of both the execution has been changed to black and orange. Even the figure size has been increased right now. So these are the sort of the customization we can do while making it more user appealing to the user appealing graphs. Okay. Next is plot state. So we can even plot certain states of the quantum circuits or qubits, you can say. So last time we just covered plot state city. Okay, and why we plot the states is to debug the I mean, this can help in debugging the circuits, and either from the simulation or state tomography part. Okay, and while plotting the states, obviously it requires exponential resources. So what we are going to do is, I mean, we are just going to view the state of some small quantum systems, like what are different type of states available, and we will visualize it. So the different type of quantum, I mean, plot states available are plot state city. Okay, it is used for viewing the quantum standard view of quantum states, where we will be having some real part and some imaginary part of the state matrix which we are trying to plot. Okay, so let's write the code also simultaneously for this. Yeah. So from Qiskit dot visualization, we can import. So instead of plotting a state which we have already covered, let's plot the plot state Q sphere. Okay, and so for that we can import plot block multi vector. So we have seen two types of vectors, right? Which is one is state vector, where we represent the values of the qubits and its states in a vector form, and another one is the block sphere, where there will be some weights associated with it. Plot block multi-vector, and we have also plot state Q sphere. And there are several other plots, plot state as well, which we will be covering soon. So for this, we need to get a backend, and so here we are going to use basic AR. Like we are going to use simulator backend, which we imported. And then we will execute a circuit here on the simulator. So the same circuit which I executed on the quantum backend, this one, the same circuit I'm going to execute here on the simulator. And I'm going to store my result by calling the result method of this. Now this will give me a result of the executed circuit. Now I'm going to store that in a variable. I mean, obviously, the end outcome of each qubit. I mean, qubits can be represented as a form of like we denote as a psi is equal to kit of alpha plus kit of beta, like that, right? So let's call this variable psi to get the result of that particular qubit. So we will call the gate state factor, since here we are executing it there. And pass the result is not.
Sadab, just check the result spelling.
Yeah, I think the results are not. What's wrong with this right now?
I think you have to run that cell, ARJ cell.
Yeah, I think it's not imported properly. Let me do something. Right. Job. Okay, job is not executed here. From where this? Okay, results spelling is wrong. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, that is the spelling mistake.
Yeah.
Correct.
Fine. And then that values will be stored inside, and then we can plot it using the plot state here, plot state city method. So the results will something look like this. You can see, like, for the results, like whatever values have been are being there, that's value. Now, if we have to plot a Q sphere, that for that you can call plot state Q sphere, and you can pass the value, and that will be represented you something like this. So there will be a sphere for which it will be having value. Since for our current circuit we have all the ones, therefore the phase you can see this amplitude here. If we have the values for 1 as well, you can see a straight line going up. And similarly, if you have some imaginary part, then some other lines there. Okay, so this is how the phase is represented, like 0, pi, pi by 2, and 3 pi by 2. All right, and similarly, if you want to plot a block multivector, we can call plot. I mean, there are so many things basically in this which we can explore given the time constraint, and most of the things we'll be covering in the course which we are going to start from July. So this is just an overview I'm giving to you all. So you can see, like, qubit 0, what is the measurement? For qubit 1, what is the measurement? Qubit 0 and qubit 1 both are just having one gate, that's why the arrow is pointed towards this side. And you can see the x and y axis as well. All right, so while plotting, we have several options while plotting the state as well. Like, you can give the title, you can give the colors, you can opt for the colors. For example, when I'm plotting my state as a city, then I can give my title as city or something, and then even we can specify colors for this also. Black and orange again, for example. You can see the color of the both the qubits will be changed. So one qubit has been represented by one, another black, another is being visualized by orange color. All right. Next, after this, we will go for the gates. So far in gates, KG has already shown you, like, we have single qubit quantum gates, we have multi-qubit quantum gates, and then we can perform several sort of operations in that, like doing the measurement of this, resetting the qubits, performing some conditional operation on that, or doing the state initialization there. Okay, so first we will cover three different simulators. One is unitary simulator, then we have quasi simulator, and we have state vector simulator. So unitary simulator, KG has already explained, like when we have a certain state qubit, on which we are operating we are performing certain operations, and the end outcome is again a single qubit, right? So that such sort of operations are called as unitary operations, and operators used in that are called as unitary operators. So this basically there is a postulate of quantum physics, and I mean, which is related to these unitary operations. So it has certain properties like the rows of unitary operations, like this forms an orthonormal basis, and similarly columns are also forming. They will also form the orthonormal basis. And based on this, there are certain gates like Hadamard gates, Pauli gates, and all. So starting with the implementation part of this, what I'm going to do is I will import certain packages first. So matplotlib is basically a visualization package available in Python, and then we have NumPy, which is basically used for performing several mathematical and statistical operations. And then we have a mat package from where we will be importing value of pi instead of typing it again and again. Okay, so if you will see pi values, it holds like 3.14 up to certain decimal points. All right, and then we will import certain methods and functions from Qiskit. Like these already we have imported before, but I'm going to do it again so that nothing I'm missing out. So we need classical registers as well when we are going to measure the values of qubits that we will be storing in the classical qubits. And then quantum register for creating the qubits, and then execute method for executing the circuits which we are going to create, and then certain visualization tools. Like we can call circuit drawer. So whatever circuit we are designing, we can see the pictorial form of that also. From Qiskit. Did I miss something again? Oh, imported. Fine, and then finally, instead of running all these jobs on the actual quantum computers, I'm going to use simulators for this. So we will be using basic AR here. All right. So let's create a backend using the on AR. So AR is basically the quantum simulator. It is not the actual quantum computer where we'll be executing the circuits. And we can call the unitary simulator from this backend. So it has event Quasm and this all the three backend it has, whatever we discussed, Quasm, state vector, and unitary. So for now, I'm going to call the unitary simulator. All right, so our backend is ready. Now we can start developing a single qubit quantum states. Okay, so the very first gate which I'm going to cover for today is U-gates. It has three different types, U3, U2, and U1. So for calling U3, what we can do is, first let's create a quantum register, a quantum circuit by 1 qubit. Quantum circuit here will be passing Q, and Q will be having a quantum, Q is a quantum register. So we are creating a quantum register which will be having a 1 qubit. And that quantum register we are passing to a quantum circuit. And then we will be creating U3 gates. So here we can pass values like pi by 2, pi by 2, and pi by 2, and Q. So your U3 gate is ready. Now to see like how the circuit has been initialized, you can call qc.draw. So this will look something like this. Like you have a U3 which is initialized with one qubit, Q30. The name of that qubit is Q30, and it has with these values it has been with these phase it has been initialized. Okay. Similarly, for executing this, you can call execute dot execute and pass the circuit in this and pass the back. So very first parameter is the circuit which I want to execute, and other one is the backend, like where I want to execute my circuit which I have created, and its result I'm storing in the job. So right now, since we are using the simulator, if you want to run these circuits on the actual quantum computer, you can call the backend for the actual quantum computers, and you can execute the circuits on live on the cloud, IBM Cube. Okay, and to see its results, like what values has been returned by it, you can call the result, and then call, since here we are calling the we are creating the unitary gates. Instead of calling gate state vector, we are calling the gate unitary. We'll call get unitary, and here we will pass the circuit and even like decimal values up to what we want to get the values. I missed certain thing. Get underscore unitary decimals. Fine. So these are the results when we executed single qubit unitary operation. Okay, and if you see it as a matrix form. Okay, similarly we have U2 unitary 2 gates that is basically used. I mean, if you want to put this in, I mean, if you want to create a superposition, then U2 gates are useful. So for creating this, the code will be the same. So instead of typing, which will take time, I will copy and paste. I can just change this to U2, and I will be passing 2 phase here instead of 3. All right. So we can create a U2 gate, and explanation KG is already given. So U2 is basically represented as a function of like phi and lambda. I cannot draw the symbol here. That's why I'm just typing it out. Okay, and U2 of phi and lambda is equivalent to unitary 3 gate of
the variable name. Instead of lambda, put some lambda or lambda 1 something. That is a keyword, so it will get confused.
No, I have converted that to markdown, so it will not.
Okay, cool. Okay, then it's okay.
So, and which is equal to U3 of I mean function U3 of pi by 2 of phi and lambda. Okay, so this is the, I mean, this is how you can relate the unitary 2 gates with the unitary 3 gate, and this has the unit matrix form. So matrix form KJ has already denoted, and in that we can cover in the course content once we will be starting. So if you want to see like how your circuit look like, you can just call qc.draw, and you can see this is how your unitary 2 gate looks like. Fine, and similarly we can execute this as well. So I'm going to copy the same code. Fine, and these are the values out from when we passed a qubit to the U2 unitary gate. Okay, and you can observe here the qubit here is initialized with 0. So whatever values you're getting on 0 qubit, we have qubit having 0 values. We 0 value we have performed these operations. All right. Similarly, we have U1 also. So in U1, we will decrease the phase by 1 more, and we will just we'll just pass pi by 2. And you can call qc.draw. So you can see again, this is how your unitary 1 gate looks like. Another gate we have is identity gate. in which you will be having cross diagonal 1 values. So identity gate values is something represented. I mean, if you're drawing a circuit for identity gate, that will be represented by something like this: 1 plus, I mean, 1 is real part and then imaginary part, comma. So this element will be, I mean, as we have identity matrix in a linear algebra, right? Same way it will be for this also, comma, 1 plus 0. All right, so this is a representation of identity gate when you will execute certain code on this. Okay, so next what we can do is we have in single qubit gates we have polygates also. Polygate is basically used for, I mean, in that we have several subcategories. We have X bit flip gate, and then we have X bit, Y bit, and phase flip gate, and all. So one by one we will cover each one of them, like whatever we can cover given the time first. So in polygates, first I'm going to cover X bit flip gate. Okay, so this X, suppose X can be defined as a matrix of 0, 1 and 1, 0. So if this is X, okay, and then if I have to, this whole matrix can be represented by unitary operator, something like with the function of this, like U3 of here phase value will be pi, and phi value will be 0, and lambda will be again pi. So this X, I mean, bit flip gate X can be represented by this. So if I have to draw a circuit for this, let's call it from here. Okay, so I have a quantum circuit Q, and here I will be calling X, in which I will be passing my circuit. Okay, now the X bit flip gate is ready. If I have to see it's like how the circuit looked like, I can call the draw method. You can see we have created a X, we have applied a X gate on qubit 60, the name of this qubit, which is having the value 0 gate. Yeah. Okay, now if you want to execute this at the backend to see what results we can get, for that we can just execute the circuit at the simulator, and you can specify certain decimal values as well. So this will return an array. You can see like how the output look like. So this is the same like what we have, how we have defined the X, right? 0 plus imaginary part, 1 plus imaginary part, and again 1 plus imaginary part, 0 plus 0 dot j. Fine. So I mean, right now we are just covering the gates, but when we will move forward with this Qiskit sessions, we will draw real quantum circuits and we will try solving some quantum applications. Then you will get to know the real use of these gates, how these are getting used. Right now we are just covering up like what are these gates and how we can draw these gates. All right. So similarly, we have Y bit phase gate also. Y, this is called as bit and phase flip gate. So here we can call qc.y, that method, and your Y gate will be ready. Y polygate will be ready, and you can call qc.draw. So this is how your Y gate circuit will look like. Okay, and similarly for executing this, you can call this method again. So you can see in Y gate we have values like 0 plus this part in the matrix will, the imaginary part in this matrix will become negative. Okay, so Y gate, if I have to represent it in a matrix form, that can be given as 0, comma minus I and I comma 0. So this is the representation of the Y bit and phase flip gate. All right, and then similarly we have Z phase flip gate. So just keep a small difference between this. X is just a big flip gate, okay? We are not flipping anything else in X. Y is bit and phase flip gate, in which along with flipping the bits, we are even flipping the phase also, okay? And similarly, we have Z. Z is a just phase flip gate. So if I have to represent the phase flip gate, then that will be given by something like this. Yeah, so that will be having 1, comma 0, the matrix of phase flip gate, and 0 minus 1. So this one will flip the phase. And similarly, if I have to represent that in a unitary, using unitary gates, then that will be given by using U1, a unitary 1 gate, okay? And in this, we have just pi. So pi is basically used for flipping the phase here. And similarly for Y, if I have to represent that using unitary gate, that will be given by something like this. U3 of, since here we are flipping both bit and phase, pi by 2, comma pi by 2. All right. Yes. So we will draw a circuit for the phase flip gate as well. And just replace. So right now we are just performing these operations on single qubit. All right. So you can see phase flip gate circuit will be drawn. And if I have to execute the job, like to get the results out of it, you can see this real part has been changed to negative. That means whatever the initial phase was there, that phase has been flipped now. All right, yeah. So next I'm going to cover certain default gates. We have 10 minutes time, so I will stop 5 minutes before for Q&A again, and let's see how much we can cover for in next 5 minutes. Okay, so in Clifford gates, we have Hadamard gates, S or root Z phase gate we have, then we have T gate and all. So one by one, we will see the execution of each of these. Okay, so Hadamard gate is given by, so if I have to represent this in a matrix form, so that will be 1 by square root of, sorry, I've typed I, square root of 2, which in whole will be multiplied with a matrix of 1, comma 1 and 1, comma minus 1. Okay, I cannot draw the, I cannot write in the mathematical form here, but just try to understand. This is 1 by square root 2 into a matrix of this. All right, and in equivalent, if I have to represent it using unitary gates, that will be Q2 of 0 and pi. Fine, so let's draw a circuit for Hadamard gate as well, and then we will execute that circuit and see the result out of it. So we need to call H here, and we have this Hadamard gate circuit ready. If we will execute this, you can get the end result in the matrix form as we have seen. So you can see, Hadamard gate I use and all, you would be knowing, so I'm not covering that in that. I'm just showing the execution for now. So you can see when we have created this here, I mean when we executed this circuit here, this was the end result. Okay, so I'm opening chat for a while. Any doubts so far?
I was managing the chat window. There are no any question about Qiskit, but there was a question from Tamal whether this notebook, the Jupyter notebook, will be shared. And there is another question from Bhargav. Will we cover Grover search and other advanced algorithms? These are the two questions.
Yes, Bhargav. So regarding Growers and Shores algo, we will be covering in next upcoming series of Quizztic. Okay, so we are going to host more webinars like this, and for each webinars we are covering some topics. And regarding the notebook, yes, notebooks. I think Sam can tell more, like whether it is available for everyone or it is just for, I mean, some specific members.
Yeah, Sadap, what I suggested Tamal, anyhow, this Zoom video will be, whatever video, this video will be shared, so he can watch, pause, and then practice in his Quiskit.
Right. Yeah.
That was suggested. Yeah, we are open for questions.
I will just cover a few more grades. KG, it's fine.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, 5 more minutes you can take.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
we have seen how it can be executed. Okay. And this will, I mean, it basically Helm did gate to like it maps the basis state to between equal probabilities to become 1 or 0. I mean, it basically creates a superposition in simple language. So when there will be a qubit, it will try to measure it. It will bring that to the superposition state, and then we can make the measurement, and that will converge towards either 0 or either towards 1. All right. Next, I mean, we have escaped. Escaped is also called as root Z phase gate. Okay. And if I have to represent this in a matrix form, then it will be something like this. 1, 0 and 0, I. Okay, and similarly, its unitary gate equivalent will be U1 of I by Q. Okay, so next we are going to draw and we will execute that circuit and we will see like what is the end outcome. So you can see here, I mean, whatever imaginary part I had there for that the whole thing has been taken as a, I mean, this is the end result basically from the SGATE, or this is basically called as the conjugate of Z phase gate. Okay. All right, and then we can execute T gate. So T gate, I mean, we have T gate comes under the C3 gates. So in C3 gates, we have T gate and conjugate of, which is T gate is the root S phase gate, and we have another conjugate of root S phase gate. So for these two will come under the category C3 gates. And here we have T gates and Okay. So just we will draw, I mean, we'll just execute the T gate and then we will stop solve. Okay, then for creating T gates, we can just change this method. Instead of H, we'll call T. We will draw the circuit. You can see the T gate circuit applied on a qubit initialized with value 0. And if I will execute this job on simulator, this will be the result out of it. So this is the conjugate of the, I mean, this is the actual T gate. If you will execute conjugate of root S phase gate, that will give the another result. Fine. So conjugate me like this plus sign will just change to minus. All right. Then we have several other operations as well, like standard rotations. So suppose I will just show you a sample of a standard rotation as well, given the time. If we have to do standard rotations on the qubits which we have initialized, we can call, I mean, we can create a qubit with 0, create a circuit, then call the RX method, which is used for rotating. Pass the value with which you want to rotate the phase. Okay, like here I'm going to rotate by pi by 2. So this will be the circuit, and when you will execute the result, you can observe, I mean, the phase has been rotated by pi by 2 value. That's why these values have become negative, the imaginary part here. All right, so this rotation was around x-axis. Similarly, if you want to rotate around y-axis or z-axis, you can just call Rx of y or Rx z like that. And we have several multi-qubits gates all as well. Some of them are like control gates. So control gates we have already covered in previous session. I will just make you walk through that. I'm not going to execute. Maybe in next session we can cover up that. You can see last time we created a circuit of 3 registers which we executed on 3 qubits basically, which we executed 2 qubits, sorry, which we executed on an actual quantum computer. This was the circuit for that. Qubit 0, we are applying Hadamard gate on that, and then we are applying C0 gate here and measuring the values of both the qubits. Okay, so this will basically use for creating the entanglement here, and this was the result out of it. So this is how you can even perform multi-qubit operation, and here CX is the multi-qubit gate, C0 basically. All right. So in the next upcoming session, probably we will be covering more advanced circuit and some of the algos from quantum computing. And thanks for joining the session. That's it for my part. If you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can just put your question in the chat box.
Great. Thanks, Shadab. Guys, couple of things before we leave. All right. Okay. So one is we'll be sending across a feedback form. Please spend some time to fill that up. I'll actually put it over here as well. All right. So I'll also be mailing. So that will help us in understanding, you know, like how we are doing, what are the future webinars that we have to conduct. We have to delve deeper into quantum machine learning. Yeah, definitely.
Certainly,
But
that is our
we
only
have
area.
to slowly get there, right? So we just started. And the second thing is with respect to an internship thing that is under this QWorld. So Quantum Computing India is an official partner of QWorld, which is a global community of quantum enthusiasts. So they are running a very nicely structured internship program. If you guys are interested, please respond to the mail that you'll be getting. Or join the WhatsApp group, we'll put it up over there, Telegram group. So if you scroll down to the footer of our website, you'll be seeing the WhatsApp and the Telegram group. So you can just check that out over there. So the feedback form, internship interest, and yeah, that's it for now. Anything else? Shadab, KG, Pradeep.
All good.
All right, cool. What's pipeline?
I put that we have lined up. That's why.
Yeah, in a coming session, it will be there, Bhargav. I mean,
Right.